to the Open Books Podcast, where we talk all things going on in the real estate industry, helping you take the road less traveled to real estate success, guiding you to the top 10%. I'm your co-host, Curtis Haddock, alongside with my two amazing, fantastical, awesome co-hosts, Casey Tudor and Brooke Massey. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Man, we're getting good at this, guys.
Yeah. And it's our first time.
I know. First time.
First time in the new, with the new redesign.
With the new
new focus.
Yeah, look at that beautifulness. Well, if you're on YouTube. If not, go check us out on YouTube.
Yeah. we just made a bunch of people go to YouTube because of that.
Boom.
Thank you.
Well,
So, how you guys doing other than it's morning and we're tired?
Well, I'm always tired,
Me too.
but that's just life.
Can we get an abundance of awakeness?
Well, that's
I was-
funny that you said that.
I was just going to say,
Casey.
what are we going to even talk
I almost
about
called
today?
you Curtis. That would have been weird.
No, I would not for you because you just need a new person to mix my name up with,
Well, fair.
So
Well, at least it's not Brad and Eric, so.
that's true. That's true.
But no, today I was thinking about, the mindset of abundance and scarcity.
Ooh.
And Casey, you talk about this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of what's your thoughts of like the differences between the two and like the total mindset?
Yeah, why do you talk about abundance and scarcity so much?
Since it's the only thing I ever talk about, I'll have plenty to say. No, I'm kidding. So it is important to me because there's really only two ways that you can live your life in general or run your business or your family or whatever the case may be. And that's either a life of abundance or a life of scarcity. And it takes a lot of positivity to live a life of abundance, but it's just more of the mindset of there's plenty out there for everybody. Everyone can eat. And really why I talk about this a lot in the real estate industry is because people are always worried about the saturation in the market and how many agents there are out there. And I just tell everyone the only competition you really have is yourself.
Yeah.
As long as you wake up in the morning and put your pants on and you want to be better at real estate and you want to invest in yourself and the business, there's more money to be made than you have time for. So then you just have to figure out how to leverage yourself and build your business, etc. And then, but the flip side of that coin is scarcity. And I see realtors do this every day where, they're desperate for the sale. They say things and do things that aren't in good character or ethically wrong. And they're just doing it for that one paycheck. And they act like it's the last paycheck they're ever going to get kind of thing. And
they almost block out that they're even doing it. It's
yeah.
And I think that's how you end up doing that is that you block it out thinking like, it's okay if I do it this one time because I need it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me, it's, there's still parts of my life where I have a scarcity mindset, but I put a lot of things into the abundance category, but it's a constant struggle. I mean, because you always kind of slip and slide.
Well, you always have to be self-aware.
You got to be self-aware of what's going on
That's the key.
your
I think
behaviors.
That's a good point.
Because I don't think anybody in this entire world can live a true abundance mindset day in and day out, 24/7, 7 days a week. I talk about this often because our brains are actually like scientifically wired to think negatively. Because if you think about like back in the caveman days, as funny as it is, back then what we have to do, our minds had to be programmed to save us and protect us from bears and mountain lions and weird things like that. And so in the modern world that we live in today, we don't have to protect ourselves from bears. It's cold calls and other things that we get in our way.
That's what we should start calling cold calls. Have you tackled your bears today?
Oh my God! Speaking of bears,
it growled really loud.
Yeah. I have one tried to eat me.
I have like an influx of bear reels on my Facebook for some reason. I don't have like a fear of them or anything, but I am fascinated with them.
Yeah.
But I also know how dangerous they are. So like if I were to be out in public or out in the wild and like I see one, I wouldn't like go try to take a selfie with it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not that dumb, but people do it. Anyways, I've seen enough of these videos to where I had a dream about this bear and just the other day. And this doesn't have anything to do with our podcast, but it was an interesting dream because I was showing this house in El Reno that I'm having a contract right now.
Yeah.
And this bear lived in the house.
What?
But I had to
In
show
El
the
Reno?
house. Yeah, I had to show the house. No, this is a dream, Brooke.
Okay, I was like, is this real? Or
No.
are you still talking about your
And
dream?
so,
Okay.
like, it has this little hallway that kind of circles around to the kitchen and stuff. And there's 2 doors. So, like, when I was with my clients, I had to shuffle them around the house and like close doors behind me because that bear was just hanging out, walking around.
And you had to maneuver your clients around the bear.
Like, yeah, to other rooms and make sure he wasn't in the room we were going to go in.
But was it a brown bear or a black bear?
It was a grizzly.
Okay,
And
that's scary.
And it's
Yeah.
just like, it's one of those dreams, like, I kept waking up, and as soon as I go back to sleep, I'm back in that spot again.
Well,
Really?
that's
I've
just
never
telling
done
you.
that
You've never
before.
done that, dude? I hate those dreams because no matter how many times you wake up, you go right back to sleep, right back into the dream.
I
Oh
don't.
man, I've never had that happen.
Yeah.
I've had like dreams. Has it ever happened to you when it's a dream you want to be having, or no? It's only
Probably not, no.
It's only like weird dreams or dreams you don't want to
It's
have.
honestly,
I
it's
feel
usually
like-
the dreams where I have to go to the bathroom.
What does it mean? What does it mean that dream?
That he has some bears in his real
I
estate
can't-
career.
the
He needs
bears
to go
one or the
face.
reoccurring.
This just the fact this bear one.
I think it's because I've seen a lot of reels on Facebook.
That's what you
Logically
think it is.
Yeah, I do.
That's interesting. I mean, yeah,
I'll show
it
you
has
some of 'em.
Nothing to do with our podcast, unless you're like,
Well, kind of.
you know,
I mean, maybe I'm a more intrusive thinker. So, regardless,
what are you saying about us? Hmm? Go ahead.
That
Go
you're
ahead.
not. I'm just kidding. But I mean, hypothetically, Casey, you could have some bears that you're needing to fight off in your real estate career. I don't know. Not trying
Hey,
to call you out on your podcast.
that's
but
something to think
You're the one
about.
having dreams and brought it up.
I
Or
do.
I was thinking this, and I just didn't want to say it. But since we went there, I want to show you my intrusive thinking. Or it could be that you are, when you're showing houses, are you hiding stuff from your clients? You don't want them to
Oh.
see, Casey?
Like the big bears,
Yeah.
But like, this house is great.
metaphorically speaking.
I heard
Except
the
don't look over
neighbors
here.
are
Don't look
friendly.
over here. Don't look
Don't,
over
yeah,
here. Yeah.
don't flush the toilet because poop will come up or something. Yeah, don't do that.
I mean, I will say in real estate, I mean, you know, there's some of that goes on anyways. That's not like ethically wrong. It's knowing like what is important and what's not. You don't want to sell somebody a lemon.
Right.
And make it look when and unless they know it's a lemon and that's what they want and they want
They need to
fix
understand
it
the
up.
condition.
Well, yeah,
Correct.
there's different between a $60 gallon of paint that can fix something,
Right.
and a $10,000 need a brand new
And you gotta
HVAC
move out.
system.
And you gotta move
Foundation
out
or
for 3
something,
weeks or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know that there's so much more that people can live with than they realize. When people are looking for a house, boy, everything's got to be perfect. You know, it's like, and they don't realize that they're actually where they live now has those same problems.
Yeah, and yeah.
You know?
Then they move in and forget about it all.
All of
Yes.
it. It
Until they
doesn't
go to
matter.
sell it, and they're like, ah.
Yeah, I got to fix that. Man, and it's just funny. But did you guys know that within the stock market and finances that they could describe like a down market as a bear market?
No.
Why?
Interesting.
I mean, I don't know if I know the reason why.
Yeah, because there's a bear and a bull.
Bull. Yeah, a bull market is a strong market. Bear market is down. I mean,
Maybe because a bull charges forward.
I think it would be the other way around. So what
I
do
don't know. A grizzly bear is just like, don't touch
who
my
would
shit.
win in a battle between a bull and a bear? You think so?
I don't know if the bull just runs and charges and just bam.
But if the bear did get a hold of that bull, like, and it slowed it down, or just got out of the way and was able to slow it down, then I think that bear would
It
probably
just
win.
depends what mindset that either the bear or the bull has that day, either abundance or scarcity.
It's not
Exactly.
the size of the dog. It's the size of the fight in the dog.
There you go.
That's what I've always been told.
Coaching from Coach Casey.
That's right.
But no, I
But-
think. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Hey, speaking of that, let's bring our animal analogies around to abundance and scarcity. You always heard that saying of, you know, you have two wolves inside you.
No, I haven't.
I forget
actually.
which ones they are.
I don't know why I said
One's like, you know, strength and goes after it and goes and gets it, and the other one cowers down, and it's like, well, which wolf will fight or will win? And it's like the one that fights or whatever.
Yeah. Well,
Go look that one up because I didn't say that one.
You didn't make it up.
No.
Well, I think it's just learning what I think and understanding each
Oh, it's which one
mindset.
you feed. It's which wolf you feed.
Oh, which makes sense. Abundance and scarcity,
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's just having the knowledge of understanding what each of those look like, and then at least being self-aware trying to have a positive mindset. Because don't get me wrong, I'm like, sometimes I'm toxic positive, but I still have days where I'm like, screw this crap, I'm over it and whatever else, and I just want to go home and just take a nap.
wait, what is toxic positive? Like too positive? Like what is
Well,
that?
to some people, yeah. I guess it's not really a negative
Well, it could
thing.
be a
Are you
turn
saying
off.
are you
But,
saying
like-
toxic positive is like others' viewpoint whenever like you're being positive and they just don't want to be around positivity? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Because
Because I mean, I could be that way too. Like I might be. I think maybe you could say I'm toxic optimist.
yeah. No,
Kinda.
same.
Yeah.
Like-
okay.
Like this sounds really harsh, but it's like this is a good example. Like someone could have died, but I see the positive in them dying.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's positive in everything in life.
If you look at it the right way.
So, and if our
100%.
mind is constantly wanting and is addicted to thinking negatively, then it's a force. Your brain is a muscle too, just like we work out our
Yeah.
arms to lift things heavier. Well, if you're constantly working out your brain to think positively, well, then you get to the point where everything is almost positive. To most people and most society is toxic positivity. But
Yeah, and you got to train. Yeah, you got to train your brain to think in that way. And I think that the more you do it, it's harder for some than others. I think. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
if you're so used to just thinking of the negative or being down on things, like it's going to be hard to be around somebody that is the opposite, or it's going to be hard to even start training yourself to be more positive
Or if
and
you
optimistic. And
grew
gotta-
up that way.
Right. I mean, and you might not even realize it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it could be just a trauma could have caused it from a young age. But you got to. I think the first step to even getting there is you got to want to be those things. And some people, may not want that. They might be happy in their negative viewpoints, but
Or that's the way I am.
Well, and
Like you have to
Yeah.
accept it.
there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with accepting that either. I will say, but just know that if you're going to accept that in your life, then you have to accept life for what it is because that's what you accepted.
Yeah.
Right. So like whatever happens to you, whatever, like don't become the victim or don't become like this. I didn't get this or I didn't get that. You're still going to be living in abundance or scarcity depending on your viewpoint. And I think both viewpoints can have an abundant life, but man, I really think, and this is just my own bias probably, I think it's a lot harder coming from if you have a negative mindset or a pessimistic type of mindset. I think it'd be much harder to have a life of abundance if you're living in that thought process all the time.
That's why it's so hard, I think, for people to get into real estate because they see it on TV, right? And it's the same thing as like getting married. It's like you have these hopes and dreams of it looking a certain way, and then you get married or you get into real estate, and then it's not what you thought. So then there's disappointment, resentment, misunderstandings, all those kinds of things, but from that point on, whenever you realize that it's not what you thought, that's whenever I think the real growth comes because it's like, okay, well, now I have to accept it for how it really is. And am I going to put
Give
into
up,
this
or am I going to fight for it? Like you said?
And that's something that you can't have. That's not a conversation you can have in a recruiting appointment because they're not there yet.
Yeah.
Nor can you see that in somebody until they're faced with the situation.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why we always talk about like what's your why, right? What is your why? Why do you do what you do every day when you have those bad days? I had another thought, but now I forgot.
Well,
Realtor brain.
I will pick it up so that you can try to think of that thought.
Thanks,
Brooke.
I appreciate that, Curtis. You're so kind.
Yeah. Yes. Thinking of you in this situation. And this is actually to piggyback off of some of the things that you've already said, Brooke, that the self-awareness piece, I think, is crucial. And I think it's really hard for people to be self-aware. And even when you feel self-aware, there's going to be times when you're not. Like, and
I remembered.
you want to go ahead and go?
No.
Okay. Yeah, you can, because I'm thinking of you again.
No, because I already
Okay.
forgot again.
Ah, dang it. Okay. But my the point I'm making is, and I hope that I didn't come with a realtor brain here, but um, I mean, maybe I did.
Well, I
Thanks
mean,
a lot.
Yeah, self-awareness is important.
Yes, self-awareness.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that when you start to live a life of when scarcity starts to creep into your life, I think it's because there's several things that you can point at, right? But I think that we get comfortable. I think that that is one that plays a factor that prevents us from, we could be living in a life of abundance and then get content, right? And maybe we accomplish something and we're proud of that, and we're happy with how life is and where it's at, and there's more available to us and our families and our kids, but we're choosing to stay comfortable and not give them the more abundance than there is, just because we're comfortable. And then the other one is fear, right? And you put those two things together, comfortability and then fear, and that can really paralyze you to just continue to just live day in and day out. You say we're drawn to negativity, which I 100% agree with, that we remember so many more things that are negative than are positive. It's just easier because of how it makes us feel. But I also believe that we're creatures of habit and routine, and like we get into just these habits, some good habits, some bad habits. But when we get comfortable, we could have a bunch of good habits that we just do every day, but we don't break through to that next level of abundance if we don't challenge ourselves to fight for more.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
No, because I remember what I was going to say, and I think it kind of alludes to the same thing. I think, too, on top of being self-aware, I think people forget to be in the present
It's
and
hard.
think about what's happening around them currently, and like almost reflect, not look back, but reflect. Like, we're in a world of depression and anxiety. Depression is you're depressed because you constantly think about the past and what things that could have happened, you could have changed. And anxiety is you're anticipating the future. But if we all just sit here in our present and just think about it and observe and look over those things, I'll tell you, my wife and I actually went through all of our finances a couple days ago or yesterday, and I thought I was in my head. It was creating a bad habit in my own mental thinking of, oh my gosh, like we're actually like behind. But then actually I sat down in the present moment to look and observe of what actually is around us, and we're actually in a much better place than we actually thought we were. So just thinking about it that way.
Yeah, it's great. So there's another aspect of this too, which is interesting. When you look back, so speaking of being in the present, you're worried about the future, or you're.
My dad used to say, "Stop and smell the roses." Not that he came up
and you
with
always
that.
hated
but that's
you
what
always
he's
hated
telling me
hearing
that.
stuff like that. But it's funny because like I took a girlfriend one time to SeaWorld with her daughter, and the kid kicked and screamed the entire time and cried and
This is
and
like
made
an
us.
ex, like a girlfriend.
Well, yeah, definitely an ex. And
just
she
present
she
day?
hated the experience. And then the next day she's like, I want to go back there. That was so fun.
Oh man, that
And I'm
doesn't make
like,
sense.
were you there?
Yeah.
Because I was miserable and I'm never going to go anywhere with. In fact, you know what? This relationship's over. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's not how I did it. But yeah, it's like you're always worried about the future, so it's hard to enjoy the present. But then you look back and you're like, oh, that game was so fun, or the Christmas party is so fun. But in the moment, you're like preparing for it, and you're
Stressed
like
and-
stressed and
Yeah.
exhausted, and
And yeah, you're worried about the future. Like you think about all the things you have to do, all the things that aren't done, the things that are holding you back, and it really can. I mean, it just causes anxiety and fear, and
That alone, I think, is a bad habit.
Yeah, well, and it's like I think we were put here to serve others. I think everyone's always trying to look for that retirement, or oh man, I don't
The
want to
big
have
win.
to work. I don't want to have to work 9 to 5 or until I'm this age. It's like, what do you think people before the 9 to 5 thing was really invented by Henry Ford? What do you think people did? Like they tended their farms and their
24
lands
hours a
Yeah.
day. I mean,
24 hours.
Oh,
And they fed their horses or whatever it is, even if they were sick or dying.
we
that's
are.
not to cut you off, but
No,
that's
no, you
a
weren't.
big. This is almost like a tangent, but also people say I don't have enough time,
Yeah.
and it's like, no, we have time, but what?
Not in your 9 to 5, you don't.
Right,
like-
but even outside your 9 to 5, right?
What do you-
And
what do you-
it's
what do
like,
you do? What are you
they
doing
have
with
to,
your time?
They feel they have to do everything within that window because everything after that is just couch time.
yes, couch time,
Basically.
TV, phone, whatever else. I just don't
Things
have any
that
time.
things that bring you pleasure. I mean, people
Yeah.
work for pleasure. Like
And every-
people, I should say, look forward to the things that bring pleasure to them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
That
Go
was
ahead.
cute.
Go ahead. I'm
no,
thinking about
I
you
forgot what I was
guys.
gonna say, but I don't know.
Great. Good. It's my turn.
Realtor brain.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
We should have like a little light that says our turn, our turn,
Yeah.
our turn.
Yeah. I think that'd be really hard because then we both pressed it at the same
We just
time.
need to get, we just
Yeah.
need to get a talking pillow.
Ooh. That's what
Yeah.
happens when you make a podcast with a bunch of realtors.
I still don't think that would work.
We'll try it.
We could try it.
I'll bring a pillow.
Yeah, but then someone's gonna hold the pillow way too long.
Way too long, like me.
We're like passing it back and forth.
Thank
But
you,
yeah,
Curtis.
so we're here. We are here to serve others, right? And the thing too is like, why do you think people that retire die within like a few years? A lot of times because they stop everything, and I think that your body's meant to continually.
Well, so yeah, that was what I was going to say. Was that like we are? Yes, we're here to serve other people, but in some form or fashion, you can call that work. I mean,
Right,
we're,
sure.
we're here to work, and people for some reason, our country has made it so easy for people to think that they deserve to not have to work.
right.
Oh
And,
yes.
like I should be able to have and not have to work for it. I don't have to earn what you have. I should be able to equally have it, even though I didn't equally work as hard as you did, right? And when you live in a place that creates that kind of mindset and that thinking, you end up with a society that just wants to be lazy, right?
Right.
I mean, that's what a lot of people. I saw a TikTok the other day, and it was a very young. It was a young adult. It was a young female who she had to have just graduated college, right? And she was on there crying. It was her first ever 9 to 5 job. Okay. This girl was just crying about how much time she has to spend at work in her day, and she's like, I don't know how people do this. Like whoever created the 9 to 5,
Henry Ford.
This is the worst thing because I had to
him.
get up. She's like, if I lived close to my job, it would be fine because then I would have more time after work to do the things I want to do. How am I ever going to date somebody now that I work? Because I have to, it's like, and she had like a 30-minute commute, right? She goes, it takes me 30 minutes to get to work. So in order to get
Excuse
there,
number one.
I have to get up at 7 o'clock or whatever it
Excuse number
is.
two.
And then I have to get ready and then I have to drive
Excuse number
to work.
three,
And then I
four.
work all day. And then by the time I get home, I have dinner, and then I want to go to bed so I can do it all over again the next day.
Welcome to 30.
You know?
Well, and you see all, and you'll see
Welcome
like,
to real life.
and you'll see these like TikTok videos or whatever that like talk about these kinds of things that make you feel like she did. They'll say, oh, the world's designed us to basically work all day long, and then you sleep this long, and what's left for you? And it's like, what are you saying? I should quit working? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But there's those messages out there that are telling you to basically that you shouldn't have to be doing anything
Well,
that
and
you
it
don't
just
want to do.
keeps you in that negative mindset and that negative habit, and so
Well, you guys want to know what's interesting to me, anyways? You guys might find it interesting as well, but
Basketball cards?
the reason that's very interesting, yes, very interesting industry. niche right there. But what's interesting to me about all of this and the mindset of of not working and laziness is the reason that we even live in a country and in a society that allows for that kind of thinking is because of the people that created it by working their ass off. You
Right.
know, I mean,
Yeah, and everyone thinks like, oh, it must be nice. He's got this big business. It's like, well, he probably started that business while he had a full-time job.
Oh,
Because no one, I mean, when they came over from Europe, like, it's not like they just got to do whatever they want. They started busting their ass from the second they got here, and they lost people. They lost children and family members to diseases, and they starved because they couldn't get their crops to grow. That would be an interesting. We should have a farmman on this conversation because we should ask them how they view abundance versus scarcity. Because like a cattleman might have hundreds of cattle one day, the next day they're gone.
oh yeah.
Right, and then now he can't survive
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. So
But people in society only see what the good parts of it or whatever.
yeah.
Like
like the TV shows.
I've talked about this before, but
Or they
Arnold.
want the good parts, but they don't want to do the things that it takes to get the good.
And it does
Yeah.
suck. I mean, don't get me wrong, it does suck. Like, that is where the growth comes from. But this is, we talk about like polar opposites. So it's like, you can't ever appreciate a nice day until you've experienced a really
bad
hot
day.
one or a really cold one. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh, this is the weather is so nice today. Well, you know how to appreciate it because you have that that polar opposite to compare it to.
Yeah, no.
You never met. You can't have you can't have a great sailor with calm seas.
That's right.
Well, you can never.
That's right.
You just with anything in life, you can't have the good without the bad.
And I don't think
like
people
they have to exist. That's
they
why
don't
the
wanna
yin
hear
and yang
that.
thing has.
People don't want to hear that.
No,
know?
they don't. They don't. They just.
So they'll revert and they'll just stick with their job. They'll play victim, blame their boss
Well, that's why
for
they
their
say.
lack of money or
It's
they're
lack
not
of
getting
self awareness right
promoted.
there.
Yep.
You know.
And but it's easier. It's easier to be the victim.
Well, and that's why they
Way
really
easier.
say money can never buy happiness because
It can buy a
you could
higher
be-
level of misery.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like you can be miserable as crap in a fancy mansion with all your sports cars in the driveway or whatever your dream is, right? Because if you don't live a life of abundance and see every aspect of your life to the fullest and think positively, then what's the money going to actually do for you?
Right. Will probably cause you to spend more.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And even the phrases that you hear, money can't buy you happiness. Is all about as a mindset again to me,
Mhm.
because there's plenty of people that would say I got plenty of money and I'm very happy, like, and it's because they realize that, okay, it's not the money that I have that's giving me the happiness. It's my fulfillment of myself, of did I get the money honestly? Did I work hard for it? Am I
Accomplish my
proud
goals.
of the things that I did? Am I happy with the things I sacrificed and the things that I held value and near and dear to me, like my family and my friends and the things that are important to me. And so but if you just pursue money and you forget everything else, and yeah, maybe your mindset will be different and money won't give you happiness. I mean, it's not the money that gives you happiness, but having money sure makes it easier, I think.
Because
It's your
Oh,
there's
yeah.
certain things you
know?
don't have to worry about anymore.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'd rather cry on my private jet on the way to France to eat dinner that
Right,
night
right.
versus, but
Greyhound.
but that's
And-
besides the point.
And the reason that we would be crying is because, man, we got a long, hard work day ahead of us, right? I would much rather be worried about my hard, tough day of work ahead of me than the bank knocking on my door tomorrow.
Or asking
Well,
your
you know
parents to
what?
feed your
Let's
children.
make that happen. I dare you to make me cry on our private jet on
I
the way
dare
to France
ya.
for a full work day.
It wouldn't be our private jet. It would be like a chartered flight.
Yeah, that's fine. We've had this.
Unless it was your private
Yeah,
jet.
no, I'm having the private jet because screw conventional flying.
I'll just charter a private flight.
As long as I don't have to wait in line and go through security, I'm down.
Yeah, I mean that would be a chartered private fight, you know?
Okay, deal. I'm in. Well, let's talk about scarcity and abundance as far as like real estate specific in our careers.
Well, I think that there's enough to go around. You know, there's you know, when we talk like what's going on right now is everybody says that we're going to lose all these agents and that all with interest rates going up and down and the volatility of rates and just everyone is so fear like driven and they worry so much. And I feel like the abundance mindset is look at everything as an opportunity. Okay,
If
so
that mean you're
every
leaving,
day.
heck yeah, then
That's
I got a
more-
better chance.
more
Every
for
day is an
me.
opportunity.
yeah,
When I start getting down about it, I have to remind myself of that. It's like, okay, quit worrying about what if this person doesn't buy, or what if no one calls you again, or what if this happens or that happens, and think there's money to be made today. And of course, I always get up and put my pants on. And that's why I make money. And it's interesting because 2023, I had the best year I've ever had financially, where everyone else is saying, "Oh my God, this year blew." But I also think they were putting in their head, they were letting everyone feed them information,
the
and they
market's
just
down.
they
There's
were
not enough
accepting
deals.
it.
Yeah, 100%.
Well,
Well, just stay
100%.
home.
Well, if
You
you
know?
You just got to work harder.
you want to throw
I mean, easy to
throw
say.
it through a loop real quick. We talked about everyone's being scarce because what is everyone doing? They're watching TikToks and the news and reading all these articles and they're being scared. But on the other end, TikTok and all those news and all those places, they're actually thinking in abundance because
Yeah.
they know that our brains are going to think negatively and be scared. So that's what they're going to post because
Yeah.
they're going to get views
More
in
views,
abundance,
more likes,
right?
more, yeah.
It's like when
100%.
COVID happened. It's like, I mean, all the videos that were made and followed, because people were terrified.
You gotta be willing to. Here's a great example, and I'm not gonna say any names, but the person will know who I'm talking about.
Are they
Because
on this podcast?
They're not on the podcast, but they're in the
But they're
room. They're in the
listening.
room. They're in the room. Oh wait, no, they're not in the room anymore. So it won't matter. We're still not going to say names. But I had this conversation with somebody yesterday, and it's all about. And this is a great abundance versus scarcity mindset. So he had an appointment yesterday scheduled for 6 p.m. Okay. And this is a day that was kind of a slow day, and he could have been off the whole afternoon, but he stayed in here for this appointment. Well, he got in contact with the people that he was going to have the appointment with, and I don't think that the person realized that it was him calling because he tried to text to confirm it, didn't hear back, so he called. They answered the phone, and then they were like, "Oh, I forgot about this appointment that I had. Hold on a second. Hold on a second." And then click, like they got disconnected, right? And it sounded like maybe she had to go to the other line, maybe, and just hung up. And so he gave it a couple minutes, called back, no answer. Texted, and then I told him to text this because. I feel like it's important to stick to your commitments, right?
Mhm.
You have an appointment at 6 p.m. That person did not tell you that they weren't going to make it,
Mhm.
right? But they were starting to give that impression, okay?
Right.
But I said, tell the person in the text, hey, we got cut off, not sure what happened. I plan on being at our appointment that we've committed to still. If you have a prior obligation that's going to prevent you from making it, let me know and we can reschedule. Otherwise, I'm going to see you
at 6.
I'll see you at 6.
I love that.
That's
Okay,
good, actually.
and
I like that.
so he never heard back. Nothing ever came. So we're getting we got close to the time, and he didn't want to go. He was thinking, I don't want somebody to just waste my time. This is a waste of my time, and I had to tell him and say, no, listen to me. You need to be thinking opposite of that.
Yeah.
What if I told you that because if you go to that house, the worst thing that can happen is they don't show up.
Yeah.
Right. But you get to tell them that you were the realtor that stuck to your commitment.
Uh-huh.
That even though you did not get a confirmation, you still win. So now you're following up with them. You are the one realtor that showed up when everyone else would not. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I told you I guarantee that you will make $10,000 if you go to that house and they don't show up, but the follow up. I'm guaranteeing that you're going to get that listing, and you're going to get $10,000. Would you go? Would you go to that appointment knowing they're not going to show up? And he goes, oh, I'd go in a heartbeat. I'd go in a heartbeat. I'm like, of course you would. Well, and so I tried to explain that to him, and he goes, well, I worked really hard today. I made all my calls. I set 4 appointments in my 2 hours of calling. I said, that's great. But you understand abundance when it comes to making phone calls, right? But you gotta change your mindset to go towards to all of it, because there are people that don't make the phone calls, and here's what I would say to them: if I told you that if you make calls for an hour a day for the next 5 days, and if you just do that, I will pay you. I will guarantee I will pay you $10,000 if you just do that. Okay, they would all say, in a heartbeat, yeah, I'll start making calls right now. Whether I get the appointment or not, I'm going to give you $10,000 because you made the calls. I said, well, you understand that you might not get the appointment, you might not get the listing, but the $10,000 is eventually going to come because you're doing the activities. It's the same thing when you're going on these appointments. You got to show up, because it's all about it's your mindset. It's about abundance. And you got to think, I am going to work harder than every agent that is out there. And part of that is doing the things that that most people won't want to do. And they're going to want to go home and relax and even though they're not going to show up and they're going to waste your time. I think some people would disagree with me on this, but for me, I made a living when I was producing out of doing this very thing, because I understand the thought process of humans and that guilt that sellers could feel by you showing up and them completely ignoring you. They're going to end up listing, right?
Because you're a good person. You did your job.
Do your job, show up, and it's not like I'm trying to make them feel guilty on purpose, but if I do that with 10 people, all I need is 3 of them to be like, oh man, you're a hard worker. I want you to list my house,
Well, I love that, because I think there's like levels to abundance and the mindsets. There's every step, right? You said it. There's the start of the phone calls, right? They understand the mindset. And I think a majority of realtors, for the most part, do. They understand cold calls work, whatever else. But then as soon as they do get an appointment, then, okay, there's another mindset. Or now you got to have a different abundance mindset, because I've gone on or talked to agents and they're like, oh, they said their niece is a realtor or whatever else, and just immediately cutting it off.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, and this is my biggest pet peeve, when realtors say, I need to make money. How do I make money now? And then they go, oh, I'm going to go door knock. That is not people.
And then
that is not how you make money now. Making money now is doing those phone calls and still showing up. It's a thing of chance. Yeah. You have a higher chance of winning and making $10,000 doing that. And if you don't believe it, then just go start getting lottery dollar scratch offs, and maybe you'll win $10,000.
But what's going to change? What's going to change from you door knocking, anyways? Because you're still carrying over the same philosophies and same mindset that you had for calling for sale by owners.
Same mindset.
You've just already sold yourself on it not working. So, I'll go try door knocking. Well, door knocking can work.
It does work.
But you have to master it.
I forgot to clarify one simple point. Like I was talking about, they want to make money now, and then they go and door knock, right? Door knock does work and whatever else, but it's mostly future, right? If you're wanting to make money now, then go talk to people or create opportunities of chance where people are buying and selling now.
But I mean, to that point, door knocking is putting yourself in front of people and talking. And,
that's what I mean. I mean now.
But you can make money now door knocking. If you knock on enough doors and get in front of enough people, there's going to be a neighbor. There's houses that sell in almost every neighborhood on a weekly basis. I mean, I guess it depends on how big the neighborhood is and how much turnover there is. But you go knock on enough doors, you will get in front of the person that is connected to the neighbors, right? Or you will knock on the door of the person that's going to be listing. Now, you're going to knock on doors of people that are ready to list, and they're not going to give it to you because they have a family member, they already have a realtor, or, they just go in a different direction. You didn't make a good enough impression. The idea, though, is you have to put yourself in front of enough people. And I think to Brooke's point, what she was trying to say is like, go do the higher conversion rates, FISBOs, 30% conversion rate. If you do it right, Expire, it's 15 to 20% conversion rate. If you do it right,
Well, people's brains are silly because
leads,
it's like
1 to 3%. But let's do that instead.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. People are looking for the easiest way to make money, and door knocking is not an easy way.
No.
But when they give up on something because they said, "Oh, my niece is gonna list my house for me," well, try to overcome that objection. It's you're not going to win them all. It's okay, but you're not going to win any if you don't at least try to win them all. Go in there with, I'm going to get this listing no matter what on all 10. And when you don't get discouraged. But if you do enough of them, you will get deals.
Well, and you have to get enough yeses to keep you in the game financially and mentally. Like if you only do one FISBO a month, like you're not going to get enough yeses to feel like it works in a good amount of time.
And I'll say this, if you're making calls, door knocking, FISBOs, if you're doing leads, if you are networking and you're not getting yeses, call us. We will help you get yeses. Don't continue to try to do it on your own. Don't continue to reinvent the wheel, because there are duplicatable systems and processes that work in this industry if somebody can just tell you and guide you on what to do.
You can't recreate the wheel in any industry. Now, what I think you can do is you can
solve problems and
learn,
issues and make things better.
And then make it better, and then find a niche. And that's not really creating a wheel, but that's perfecting the industry or whatever. Yeah, whatever you're into.
There are so many things that people try, and I'm like, been there, done that. I tried it. I'm trying to tell you, don't go down that path.
Yeah, the stove is hot.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's always deals. Yeah, there's always deals to be made in any market.
And why would a real estate coach that is making money, making a good income, providing for their family, buying fun, nice things, they got a lake house, all these things, but yet you think you know better?
Yeah.
When you've never done it a day in your life, and all of a sudden, and then this constant excuse like, well, just because it worked for you doesn't mean it. It's like, well,
that's a scarcity mindset.
That's a scarcity mindset, and I think people want guaranteed results, or they're not going to do it because it might be a waste of their time.
Which is why a job is so attractive to a lot of people. Is because it's a guaranteed paycheck.
But look at Colonel Sanders, right? Like that guy did not strike gold until he started KFC, and he was like in his 70s.
Yeah.
Every single business he had done before then, he failed miserably.
But he learned something along the way.
But he did, and like he stuck with it because he knew that his work ethic would one day pay off. Now I hope I'm not 70 by the time that happens.
Right.
But honestly, better late than never.
Sure.
Because the end of your life is when you want the most time, the most freedom.
Hell yeah, when I'm 70, I'm not doing anything.
And that's when you want the money for your family.
I'm a little different because I was just talking about this today. Like when I am not doing something, I just can't I just can't sit still and like not do anything for very long. Like I'm going to constantly be working. The difference though is it's going to be because I want to.
I think that's what you're saying, right? It's like you're not doing anything you don't want to.
I mean, I agree. I'm the same way, but I'm very hopeful that when I'm 70 that I really can just stop working.
Yeah.
Because I think I would at that point would deserve.
Well, I mean, you'll have to train your brain. You'll have to exercise your brain some way, or you'll just die.
Yes, I need something to
do. You go to Disney, whatever.
No, I would get Disneyed out at that point.
Yeah, but you'll have to do something. I mean,
it's not that magical.
Maybe you can just be podcasting just podcasting.
Maybe I'll just be showing up. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to talk about?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me give you all
Here's my
wealth
story.
of knowledge.
Well, it started as a local grocery store bagger, and I just worked my way.
Literally, that's how my
Yeah.
story
She's
started.
70 talking about Homeland still. When I was at Homeland, it's like, but didn't you work for Bricks for like 50, 60 years?
Oh,
well, yeah,
but that's not
back
where it
at
started.
Homeland.
Let me tell you
It's slowly going away,
Do
okay?
you want to know the code for bananas?
4011.
See?
To be fair, I think a majority of society
Is that
knows what the PLU to bananas is.
is
I
that a
had no
Homeland
idea.
thing, or is
I always
that
forget.
like a
No,
a
it's
code?
a it's a
not.
universal.
You don't know
Okay.
this? We've talked about this with Brooke many
Oh, I don't
times.
remember.
No, we were in
I
Florida.
try to tune most of it out.
Well, we talked about it on a. Well, I don't think Casey was at that.
No, I do
podcast,
remember us talking
actually.
about codes, but I don't remember anything specific.
It's
Okay.
universal.
Other than you knew the
Yeah,
codes.
she shows up at Target, and the guy, I don't know if it was Target, but the clerk didn't know what the code was, and she's looking it up and like all nervous, and Brooke just goes 4011. It's a 5022.
My wife hates it.
Man. Oh, there's
but-
one time she was checking out at the self checkout kiosk. See, I know all these stories because she talks about Homeland a lot.
Yeah.
And
But you guys make me self-conscious, and
No.
you're giving Homeland a lot of sponsorship. at this
Today's
time.
episode is
yeah.
brought to you by Homeland.
Yeah, we better get a sponsorship from them. Brooke, make it happen.
They do have a good
She's at
bakery.
the self checkout thing, and when the thing says like ask for the cashier or whatever, or wait for the person, Brooke's like, this is taking too long. Do, 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 boop.
Busts her
See
key
ya.
card, she busts her key card out and scans it.
I have reset the pin pad at Walmart before.
Walmart,
After
that's
they
what it
called the
was.
manager over, and they were just taking too long, and I was just like,
This is
okay,
how
I
you do
know
it.
exactly what to do. And so I just did it, and I swiped my card, and they were still over there trying to figure it out. And I was like, all right,
Bye.
thank you
Thank
guys.
guys. See you
And they were
later.
like, wait. And I was like, no, you're good. You guys just need to reset your pin pad, and we left.
Someone was telling me that they were shopping and they were about to put like a pound of meat or two, like they had it in a sack.
Mhm.
They're about to put it in another sack.
Mhm.
And a lady comes over there and says, no. She's like, you can't double bag. And she's like, well, why not? And she's like, because that's wasteful. And she said, so what do you want me to do? She goes, well, take this meat out and put it in a separate bag so you don't have to double bag. She's like, well, that would be me using the same amount of bags. And the lady's like, no. And then the person says, okay, I'll tell you what. If you want to bag my groceries, you can do it however you want to. But if not, you need to let me do it.
Yeah.
I think my dad told me that story, but it's like they can't even. My dad was taking. This is how bad like customer service has gotten. My dad was taking my niece to the bathroom. Well, my dad can't go into the women's bathroom, so he takes her into the men's bathroom, and an employee stops him and says, "Sir, you can't take her in there. That's the men's restroom." And he's like, "She's 4," and he like didn't get it. Like, I can't send a 4-year-old into the bathroom by herself.
Yeah. That's
It's
crazy.
like
Ridiculous.
it's just so nuts out
We
there.
sure got on a tangent bagging groceries. Let me
Well,
tell you guys a story real
well,
quick. Real quick.
That was a
I was
scary.
like,
That
you
was
actually
a,
have one, or
I
are
do.
you joking?
That was
I was
scarcity
like, I know how to
mindset
circle
about
it back
bags.
around.
I do have a grocery store story real quick. So
Oh,
for
gosh.
our last Christmas party, April went and she has to go get all the alcohol, right? And at the time of the Christmas party, we had a 6-month-old turned 7-month-old, right as the Christmas party was happening, he turned 7 months old. Well, April had to go to the store, get all the liquor. And so she had this cart just full of alcohol for a party
Lush.
of like 150
With the baby.
with the baby. And somebody came up to her and said, ma'am, you should, like, your baby does not want you to get all that alcohol. Like, you don't need all of that. Like, I kid you not.
Oh my
Came up
gosh.
to her and said that to her, like, that's just not good. And
So just straight up
Wait, was
judging
this person
Judging
was
her
this,
just
where,
like-
where was your?
I don't
was
know.
she at Costco?
I don't think it was Costco. She usually goes to like Sprouts or, but that's not where she would have gotten all the alcohol. I don't know where she got it all from.
Well, it'd be
Crest,
interesting.
I think Crest.
Okay, I was gonna say if she's in
So
a
it's
liquor
that
store and someone tells her
clientele.
that.
Just
There's a
kidding.
small town that my friend grew up in, and she said that it's a very conservative town. Like everyone's like, it's like Bible Belt city basically. And there's a liquor store there that stays in business, but nobody there drinks. Right. So like there's
Interesting.
a parking lot in back that the entire town goes to.
So nobody can see
And,
them.
and basically what happens is if you drive by it and there's someone there, you drive on and wait till they're gone, and then you come back around to buy another beer.
Oh
That's
my!
weird.
Isn't that crazy?
That's
Yeah,
a
but
total life
that's
of
how-
scarcity.
Yeah, just
But
just
that's
live
how I
out open
grew
to
up.
open. Just
Like
live
that's
in the
how I
open.
grew up. Like it's like that kind of like, well, don't do that. And
But
then if you
I'm gonna do it.
yeah, or I'll do it, or you know, or if you do it, don't let anybody know. Like
Because people are going to judge you, but what is judging actually? Like it
it's
doesn't.
so weird.
Like
There's
they
always
don't dictate my
judgments.
life.
There's good judgments. There's bad judgments. Like we're all judging everybody at all times. Like, yeah, I mean, I think that's the hard part. Yeah, I'm not going to get into the topic of religion right now, but circle back around.
All right. Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger. That was a hard word to say. I had to really try. I even sounded weird when I said it. Anyways, he has a documentary on Netflix, and kind of going back to abundance and scarcity and like trying things and creating good habits and whatever else. I did not know this, and I don't even know why we watched this documentary, but it was seriously so good because he literally talked about all his hard work and his wants to first become like a
Actor,
world
yeah,
champion
bodybuilder.
bodybuilder. Thank you. And like he's from Austria, I think. And no one from Austria ever did anything like this. Like he didn't even have people around him really. He had small gyms
Yeah, he
and
has a
whatever
cool
else.
story.
And then he became that. And then he was like, you know what?
Be an actor.
I'm going to be an actor. And the documentary shows how terrible
Of an
he
actor
was. Oh, it
Yeah.
was so bad.
Yeah.
Until he finally got his big hit, and then he became a big movie actor.
Yeah.
But then his life didn't even stop then. He's like, you know what? I'm going to be governor of California
Yeah.
with no political history. And so that guy is like the definition, I feel like, of manifestation first off, and just believing in yourself and working hard to achieve a certain goal that you want to, because those are three extreme different things, especially considering
to
who he
succeed in.
is.
Yeah.
Well,
No, that's pretty good because I was going to say David Beckham. April and I are watching the documentary of David Beckham, and his wife Victoria calls him Golden Balls because everything he touches turns to gold.
Yeah.
Like everything he tried, everywhere he went, they succeeded. He won at every level. Came to the U.S., won at the MLS, which is not hard to do if you were winning in Europe.
Well,
you
I
know?
mean, soccer.
And then-
I mean, he's pretty big deal in soccer world.
He's huge in soccer. But then he started the Miami MLS soccer team, and they started doing well. I mean, so it's just funny that thing. It just brought me to that thought.
Yeah,
I mean, any of them.
Yeah.
There's oh no, that's not really. I mean, it's about manifestation, but
well, yeah. So mindset or scarcity abundance comes from a belief system too, right? Like,
yeah.
obviously everything comes down to that. But like, I asked one of my wife's friends once who was struggling because she. It's funny, you just kind of like meander your way through, you know, middle school and high school, and it's all about fun and having a girlfriend or boyfriend or doing whatever you're doing and playing sports, living the dream, and then you go to college if you do that, and then you graduate and you go get a job, and then it's kind of like the girl you were talking about earlier with the 9 to 5.
hard.
It's
Yeah,
like what just happened? Oh, you're adulting now,
man, no more summer vacation.
So there's no real dreaming. You just go through the motions, and now this friend of my wife's is making like $40,000 with her degree. There's nowhere to go in that in hers unless you were to like start her own business. But what do you do then, right? It's like anything.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, I said, how much more money would you want to make? And she's like, I don't know. And I was like, would like $5,000 be good? She's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, but no more? She's like, well, I mean, that's fine. I'm like, so like 10? She's like, sure. I'm like, would you be okay if you like made $100,000? And she's like, well, yeah, but in her head, it's not possible. It's not possible. She was not worth any more than she was making because that's what college and her industry has told her she's worth.
Oh no, yeah, I agree with that.
If you look at real estate agents, their average income's like $70,000 or less.
Mm-hmm.
Less than that.
But that's like
depending on where it depends on where you sell houses.
Right.
No, I if you would have asked me several years ago, I would have never thought I'd be making as much money as I do now.
I used to think when I was doing
no matter
hair,
what industry I was in.
When I was a barber, I was making like $60,000 working 8 to 10 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if I didn't work on a Saturday, that income was affected pretty dramatically. And I told myself if I just made like $10,000 or $15,000 more, I'd never complain about money again.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and then I did.
Oh boy, but your life changes with the income, you know?
It sure does. You know, and so it's just funny, like that was where my mindset was.
But you got to continue to have that abundance mindset of, where we are now is not where we are going to stay. There's so many different ways to to go above and beyond, and it starts with ourselves. It starts with, do we want the challenge? Are we going to challenge ourselves? And not everybody is the same. Not everybody wants the same things or are going to aspire to the same things. But you got to continue to have that abundance mindset of, okay, you know, so six figures, great. Am I worth what's to say that you're worth seven figures and I'm not, and Casey, who's to say what you're worth,
You
what
are.
you make yourself
And
worth?
what does it matter
Right.
to
Yeah,
other people?
Sure.
Because I think so many people put that as an
They
outside
compare
force.
themselves, and it's up to you. It's up
Yes.
to you to decide.
Like if you want to go make $1 million, then go make $1 million.
You could do it.
There is no secret sauce.
Well,
you just have to work hard
Yeah.
and get to that goal.
And I'm always moving. Like I never stop. I never really sit down. I don't really watch TV. I mean, I've maybe sat in our living room like a handful of times, and it's like because I have so many hobbies and interests that I'm into, and like my job, I have two things that I'm really interested in, and it's real estate, obviously, and then music. So like I pour myself into those things because I love them, and if I know more about these things than anybody else, then I have something to teach someone.
Yep.
So like
You
if,
have value.
if your degree is in nutrition, like you don't have to just go work for a school cafeteria, right? Like you can start your business and you can coach people on how to be healthy.
You can coach people on anything.
But you gotta know more about it than anybody, and I think that's the thing and that's what you learn on the side of what you're already doing, right? Maybe you are working in that cafeteria, but at night you're going home and you're studying nutrition. You're building your YouTube channel, your blogs, whatever you're doing. You're reaching out to people. You're trying to coach people on their health, trying to save people's lives, essentially. But that's where people kind of go wrong. They don't want to do that. Now, when I tell people what I've got going on, they're like, "How do you have time to do like anything else?" I'm like, "Well, I don't, because I just told you everything that I do. It takes all my time." But it's like I work, I do real estate, I travel with my band, I produce music. I'm in my studio almost every evening working on something. It's usually a mix between real estate and music. I answer emails while I'm listening, whatever. But it's like I'm just always doing that. And if I don't always do that, I would not be good at it. But I still have time to spend with my family because I make time for them.
Well, you make it a priority. You prioritize it and you schedule it.
And it may only be an
whatever you
hour,
gotta do.
right, for the day. Well, here's the reality: is my older son is in school all day long, so I can't spend all day with him anyways.
Right.
And that's kind of what I was saying before. Like, back in the day before the 9 to 5, like people worked 24/7. They did not spend all day with their kids. In fact, their kids were probably working too.
Oh yeah.
Their
quality time was
so they could survive
shoveling poop.
and getting
In the pig barn.
blisters and getting sick, whatever.
I think it's important to note too that with abundance, like no matter what you're doing, it could be something that you are absolutely passionate about, like music. There's parts of it. In order to get to that abundance, there are things that you have to do that you're not gonna love or enjoy, or like as soon as you make it a job, it becomes a job, right? Like, you can absolutely love it, but you need to we need to understand that we still have to do the things that we don't want to do.
You don't love every
regardless.
aspect of it.
I don't think you can love every aspect of every little thing. You know,
You're gonna want to quit a lot.
yes,
But you just can't.
Yes, and when you get that thought of like, I want to quit. Like,
Well, then you're going to quit.
But that's also not a bad thing either to have that feeling, because
It's not.
that means you're facing adversity and you're hitting that wall
Yeah, no,
of like,
agreed.
okay, well now I've got to push past this, and how do I do it? Well, I'm gonna have to do something I'm not used to doing.
It just makes you stronger. I saw something that was encouraging from Ricky Caruth the other day. He sent something out that was thanking all the people that made him who he is. And
Yeah.
here I am shouting at another real estate coach. But it was encouraging because he talked about how he goes, I can't tell you how many times I thought about quitting. and he's like, I wanted to quit so bad, so many different times because of how hard and tough it got. And we only see what he puts out. You don't see the struggles that people go through. And so it was encouraging to know, man, it happens to all of us. But the people that we see as successful, it just didn't happen overnight, you know? And even if it does seem like it's overnight, it's not, you know. You don't see what led to that night, you know?
It's the bamboo analogy. It's like you plant it and like 10 years later, it's like 20 feet tall, like overnight, you know, but it'd been under the soil activating for, you know, however many years it takes.
Should we wrap this episode up, guys? It's
Sure.
a pretty long episode.
Yeah.
It's been an episode of abundance
Versus scarcity.
It's been abundantly alive.
Choose
The best
abundance.
way.
Choose abundance every day, and you can basically write your own ticket.
Think
if you
positive.
have that mindset.
You can do whatever you want.
Make the change.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, you can, really. Well, you can't do whatever you want. I mean, you know, I would love to dunk a basketball.
You can't.
I mean,
dunk.
you can.
Not right now. No, I can't.
Why?
I don't have the physical capabilities.
Could you hold me up?
Even if I worked out, and I mean, even when I was at my peak physical condition, I could barely dunk the basketball.
Interesting.
Well, I can barely touch
There's
the
a
net,
reason
so.
why
But
white
you could
men
get a
can't jump.
You could get a trampoline and dunk it. Could you not?
That's true, but then it wouldn't be like in a game. Although I had this idea, and I'm so mad because somebody else did it. I didn't take the time to go pursue it. But I had this idea of starting a league of 9-foot rims, an adult league of 9-foot rims, and I think it would have been so exciting because regular average Joe dads, people who played in their day, could go and it'll be basketball where you dunk, like it would
That's
look like
how
real
pickleball
basketball.
got created.
I'm
I feel
feeling
like.
left out already.
Well,
Can we do like 7 foot?
you could throw alley oops though, bro. I mean, how fun would that be? You're just like, Casey, thanks, you know. And but now there's a league and it is blowing up, and I'm just like, I knew that would be a good idea. I knew it. I told everybody about that idea. Just kidding. But I don't know where I was even going with that.
How tall is regular basketball
10,
goals?
10
10
feet.
foot.
1 foot makes a huge difference.
Oh, yeah,
I could
no,
dunk on a
100%.
9-foot
You
rim.
should probably be careful asking questions like that on this podcast.
Why?
I'm just
I was
teasing.
like, most of our audience probably is not sports.
Yeah.
Until I make them.
Right.
I'm bringing them in, baby. Okay. Would you rather?
Okay, would you rather have
That's
your
quick.
dream kitchen or your dream backyard? But now remember, if you have your dream kitchen, it's everything you could ever want in a kitchen.
Same thing with the
I
backyard.
got it.
Or vice versa. But the backyard is gonna be like muddy, no patio.
Oh, thank
Wait,
you for
why?
painting this visual.
Because I'm just painting a picture.
No,
and
I need
And if you have a
visuals.
nice backyard with a hot tub and pool and landscaping and misters and screens and everything you want, your kitchen is like 1970s. The doors are falling off. One of your burners are out.
I have it.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
saying that if you when you choose the opposite for the other,
It's bad. It's bad.
It's bad.
I'm
Okay.
going to choose the backyard.
We put the kitchen in the backyard.
Yep,
Yeah.
because I'll have a badass kitchen in my backyard.
Wow. Okay.
That's covered by the patio.
Yep, no,
with
100%.
nice,
With a
with
little
nice.
heater.
Temperature
Yeah.
controls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do backyard too.
I think I would too, but that's mainly because I don't cook anymore.
And I
So
and
it's not my problem.
I'm just a kitchen stander. I like to stand in my kitchen life.
I think April would have a problem. Like she'd probably want to do the kitchen, but no. If I said, "Hey, we're gonna put the kitchen outside," you'll love it. I'll put a little we'll put some TVs places. You know, you'll love it. You'll
Yeah, you
love
know what? I don't even need that 1970s kitchen. I'll just tear it out and just make my living room bigger.
it. Yeah,
Put a pool table.
exactly.
See, I like this. Would you rather?
Just
Ben.
got myself a man cave.
Ben, will you get the door, please?
Delivery.
Okay.
Wait,
Is
let's
it
wrap
just
this
in
up.
time for one more? Would you
What
rather
was the last
delivery?
one? Would you rather have a vacation rental that you could use as you will in the mountains and on the beach, near the beach, where it's like on the beach or in the mountains or in the country? Only choose one. Whichever one you choose, you can never have one in the other places. That's my rules.
So where are the
you
locations
could go.
again?
You could
I
visit.
don't like this.
You could go
This is
visit.
scarcity.
What are the locations again?
Mountain, beach, country.
I would have to go with. I don't like the country because there's too many bugs. And,
touche.
I'm trying to think of what
I
else.
do mountains.
I do
Mountains.
beach.
I love the mountains, but I have problems with altitude, and so that's a big bummer. And the beach,
big bummer,
I'm
yeah.
really pale, and so I would burn
All
really
the
easily.
time.
So where the hell are you gonna live?
Oh,
man, I'd probably have to pick.
It's like, I'll just sell it and take the money.
Yeah, I would probably have to pick the country, and just deal with the bugs.
I mean, you could deal
Just
with the
for
bugs easy.
peace.
Just put things up that zaps them. I guess all the animal rights people will be mad, but
Yeah.
zappers, bug spray, put some natural things up, know?
Yeah,
And,
No West Nile around Casey's house.
that's right. I like the country.
Hey, so country, mountain, beach.
Beach.
I think that's awesome.
Although
Look at all the
Curtis likes to make me
representation.
pick one thing, and I think abundantly all the time, and I'm gonna have all three of those things, so I don't understand.
No, but we're in real life, yes, and examples for fun. This is for fun, Brookster, for fun.
This is my fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, no, the beach.
and-
Beach is my favorite.
Yeah, I just never liked the beach because I don't like getting sand on my feet, my body, and like I don't know. I like every time I'm at the beach and I'm there and I'm relaxing and I'm like, this is nice. But then like when it's time to go, I'm like, ugh, I just hate it. I don't know. I shouldn't say hate it. I enjoy it. It's not where I would say I would want to spend all my vacation time. I like the
Yeah.
mountains. I like to dress for cold weather. I like the
love-
cold.
I'm
I
changing
like,
my answers.
I like snow.
I'll
I like
adjust the altitude.
I like
right?
fire. I like sitting by a cozy fire, having some coffee, hot chocolate. Like
How are you gonna
love
adjust
all
to
that.
altitude? Are you gonna get
I
stealth?
think
The
you,
longer
I think
you
you
live
can.
there,
I think
you would
get used
adjust.
to it.
You
It's
hear what I
really
just
It's
said?
just really rough on me.
I said, how are you gonna get used to the altitude? Are you gonna get stilts?
we can't take that out of the podcast either, Brooke.
I know.
Okay, let's wrap this thing up. Okay, as we come to an end, I just want to say thanks for listening. If you like our content, give us a like, subscribe, and click the bell so you can be notified for future upcoming topics. And also, feel free to leave a comment below. Signing off, I'm Casey Tudor. This is my co-host Curtis Haddock and Brooke Massey. Thanks for listening. Until next time.